Sir, what documents do we need for B1, B2 visa?
That's a great question, Selena. That many people are wanting to get visas to be tourists to the U.S. these days, and so a B1 or B2 visa is absolutely necessary. We do need certain documents for that, and I want to tell you about those documents today. First document is a current passport that is at least 6 months validity left, at least 6 months left on the visa. And so that allows you to be able to travel from country to country, and the U.S. demands that you have a valid current visa and or passport, and that it still has 6 months left on the passport to be able to be used. Secondly, sometimes will be asked, have you traveled outside of your country before? And if you have old visas that show that you've traveled outside of the country, it's important to bring them along too with you. Then, thirdly, that you'll want to have an itinerary of your trip. That means what places where you'll fly to in America and what other cities that you'll travel to in America. And so have an outline of that. If you've already booked your tickets and hotel bookings and things, have that all clearly documented so that the officer can ask you, do you have your itinerary? And so, yes, I do, sir. And so tell me, where will you be going? And so you say, I'll be in New York City, then I'll travel to Washington, D.C., and then I'll travel then to San Francisco and to Los Angeles, and then back to New York again and fly home. Okay, do you have the itinerary to show your travel? Yes, I do, sir. Okay, he'll not want to look at it, but he'll ask you, do you have it? Okay, and you should answer truthfully. Yes, I do, sir. All right. Then after that, you need to show that you have the proper funds to be able to cover your trip. Now, it's a little bit expensive to fly to the U.S. and then to travel all over the U.S. and to your rooms and food and everything in the U.S. And so you need to show that you have sufficient funds to cover it completely, Selena. And so that means your bank statements, that means any physical assets you have like land or savings or different things to show that you are well able to pay for your trip and that you're going to not be insufficient in your funds. Then that you need to show that you have strong ties back to America, back to your home country, Selena. That, in other words, if you have a job in your home country, your employment contract, that you are on leave for a certain amount of time, but you're coming back to your job. You're a student, that you have your classes to come back for, and such. So it's very important to show that you have strong ties coming back to your home country, and some documents to show that. Your land holdings, your business, your employment records, your school records, those things are important. And then you need to have, if you're under 16 years of age, you need to have your national identity card that gives your national number, and that will be sufficient then to show that you're registered in your home country. Then you need to have a digital version of your recent photograph that meets the U.S. standards. Now, the U.S. standards are 2x2, I think, and that your head has to go within that certain amount of space. Three quarters of it needs to be taken up by your head and shoulders and chest area. And then you need to have that digitally, and then you need to have an actual hard copy of that photograph as well, and so to be able to submit. And then you need to have a copy of your U.S. visa interview page that you downloaded, and you need to print it out and bring that with you. And then you need to print out a copy of your completed DS-160 confirmation page. That DS-160 is all the information about you that the U.S. government asks for and before your interview. And so you need to have that completely filled out, confirmed, and then printed out to bring along with you. And then finally, that if you have a good big company that's inviting you to come to the U.S. For a conference or some programs or something, you can go ahead and get that invitation letter from a big company or something. And so that if it's just something small or a friend or something, it's not necessary. But that just adds additional weight that if you're able to have like a big company that's sponsoring you for your trip. Okay, that covers all the documents. Let's go run through them again. So first, a valid passport that's current and that has at least 6 months validity left on it, Selena. And then number two, any old passport that you have that documents your travel. And number three, you need to have your itinerary of your trip. And then number four, you need to have proof of your financial status that shows that you can well pay for your trip. Then number four, you need to have evidence that you have strong ties back to your home country. And then number five, you need to have your national ID number if you're under 16. And then number six, then the next one, next document necessary, you need to have a digital copy of a recent photograph of yourself that meets the U.S. standard. And I believe it's a 2x2 photograph and your face and body need to take up at least 2/3 or three-quarters of that photograph, not too much background in other words. And then you need to have a physical copy as well of that photograph printed out and ready to give on photographic paper. And then you need to have a copy of your U.S. visa interview letter, have that printed out, bring it, and then your DS-60 that you completed, it's been confirmed, print that out, bring that along with you. And finally, Selena, that if a big company is inviting you, or a big organization is inviting you, and they have an invitation letter, be sure to bring that. If it's just a friend or something, it's not really necessary. Okay. Any questions, Selena?
Yeah, it's fine, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
sir.
Well, let's just say that if you're planning to visit the U.S., that the U.S. is really courting right now that tourists visit the country. These are again, sincere tourists who are qualified tourists, who are financially stable tourists planning to visit the country. And they're usually eager, if you've already visited some Western countries like Australia or New Zealand or Canada or Europe, European countries, that really gives you a good opportunity now to visit the U.S. And so so if you have this backing and you have all your documents in place, then the U.S. government, and you're not planning to jump your visa, you're planning to just abide by the visa laws. Again, the visa officer is trained to see if you're telling the truth. If you're telling the truth and you're confident, then you have a good opportunity then to get your tourist visa. All right, so great talking with you today. Take care.